Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Mom Your Own Way. I'm Lily Kelko, and today I have a really cool guest. Her name is Brittney Thrift, and she's a mom, wife, author, NICU nurse, and she wrote a little book about the baby NICU experience that I'd love to know more about. I want to know about the motherhood journey. Let's jump into our chitty chat and just talk to Brittney and learn some more. Let's chat about motherhood, y'all. Brittney, hey Brittney, what's
Hello,
going on?
hello. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to be here. You have no idea.
Are
No
you
idea.
really?
Yes, I
Ah,
messaged you on Instagram and I was like, she's incredible. Like, she's busy. She's a thriving mom, doing all the things on YouTube. I mean, your numbers are similar to Miss Rachel. Don't humble yourself with that. Hype yourself up for sure.
you are so sweet. Miss Rachel's in
Seriously.
billions, girl. I am still in my quaint quite hundreds, and I love her and I have friends on TikTok, so
Oh, that's so cool.
um we don't we're not friends. We just
Yeah,
like motherhood support one another.
absolutely.
Um and you know what? I've seen some of the things that she's been through, and
Yeah.
it's got to be tough in those numbers, right? She feels a lot of
Yes.
pressure from so many
Yes.
different arenas, and she's
Yes.
so busy. She's got so much stuff going on. So I'm uh, go for her. She's making a big difference. We do
Yes, but
different shows, I think.
I'm like, you're right there. I'm like, we are either watching you or watching Miss Rachel. I'm like, it's on the thing. So when I messaged you, I was like, oh, she's busy. She's not going to reply. This will be, and then I saw like a message for you and I was like, no way. I'm like, this is so exciting.
Yay, you're so sweet. I'm so excited to talk to you. You mentioned, so I want to know everything about you. I want to go back to the beginning. I want to hear about the NICU experience. I want to hear
Yes.
about your own motherhood as much as you like to share.
Yeah,
But let's
absolutely.
start with you. Let's go to the beginning. Tell me, as much as you're willing to go, kind of even in your earlyhood, because I think so much of our
Yeah,
childhood kind of shapes who shapes our boundaries almost, right? It's like, what
absolutely.
are we willing to accept?
Oh
What are we
my
not willing
gosh.
to accept? What are we going to achieve or go for? What are we chasing, striving, right? And so I think
That
there's so
is
much.
so much.
Tell
So,
me
so much.
everything.
And so, yeah, and like you don't even realize the amount of things that affected you in your childhood until you are raising your own children. And you're like, oh my gosh, like I'm still, struggling with this trauma. I'm still
Yeah.
struggling with how to, place boundaries and stuff like that. What I don't want for my kids based on what I had to deal with through adulthood. And like, just, and our parents do their best, but there's some resentment there based on just like
Yeah.
different things. But I'll start because there's so much there. That's a deep dive into all the things. But I am a NICU nurse, and I was a NICU nurse long before I was a NICU mom. Found out I was having twins, which was crazy, and my anxiety was through the roof because being a NICU nurse, I don't see normal twins. You know what I mean? I see the scaries.
Sure, you kind of are involved when things go a little south. Like there's a little
Yes.
extra help, babies who need a little extra help at the right. So
Yes.
you
So
kind of see
my
it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like
Oh,
I was just like, I'm anxious, I'm scared.
yeah. The anxiety that fills the unknown, right? We're so
Absolutely.
unprepared. I try to do that with my daughter, and it's so sweet because she's doing it with my son now. But I always say,
Oh,
hey, I'm gonna tell you what to expect. I'm gonna tell you, we're
yes.
gonna go here. I'm gonna tell you we're
Yeah.
gonna wait in line a lot. We're gonna wait for this, whatever it is. But
Yes.
she does it with my son now. She's like,
She's
baby
like,
Ezzy,
this is
yeah, you're gonna feel this. This is gonna feel a
yes.
little wet and a little cold, okay, baby Ezzy? I'm just like,
You're like,
but
oh my gosh.
expectation, right?
Yes.
And I want to help with all the kids that, but then like you
Yeah.
said, when you step into motherhood, there's so much unknown.
Yes.
Um, who do you listen to? Who do you
Yes.
write? And it's
What feels good with
a
you? And then if it feels good with you, is that okay? Like, is that what we're supposed to be doing? You know what I mean? Things like that.
right, right. And we live in this blessing or a curse social media thing,
Yes.
right? So it's like so much advice. Which
Yes.
one do you take? What is really gonna and it's
Exactly.
this gosh, I got so stuck on this, it's like you are what you eat, you are what you consume, and it's like our
Yes.
Instagram feed, right? So if I'm watching
Yes.
something
Yeah.
and I get stuck in a really negative mind,
Yeah.
something really,
It's
I'm
so
like,
easy to do.
yes, right. I am also
Yes.
now very furious with this, right? And
Yeah.
it's, um, and then that's starting consuming my mind. So not only did it take my time, it's become part of me now. I'm trying to be really
Exactly.
careful of what I am consuming on my feed, what kind of outlooks
Yes.
I'm taking,
Absolutely.
because it's once that thought gets in your mind, you're just like,
It's
wait,
it's there. It's there. Yeah, and it
but
can be
there's
something that was a clip of like 5 seconds, and then it's still
right,
replaying in the back of my mind of like, "Oh, should I be doing this? Is this okay? Like, what are" you know?
right.
Exactly. It's so
I've
true.
seen the super funny new trend where it's like, by 6 months, your baby should be able to roll over and sit up and put laundry in the dryer and drive and do their taxes. And I'm like, yay,
That is
finally,
how it
okay,
feels.
because
Oh,
it's so tough. It's so tough. Um, because it's like we want the milestones because we want to make sure we're on the right
progressing.
track. Right, but then it's like a little bit of pressure because every baby is different and
Yes, we have to
different
take
things
those
you
milestones with a grain of salt. We absolutely do,
right.
especially like my twins being premature. Like my son, they're 21 months old and he just started walking. So I was like, am I
Oh,
doing something that's making him delayed? Am I, And then I started mentioning PT and all this stuff and he just got up and walked. I was like, okay, you're just
yeah.
being a turd.
Wow. I saw something else somewhere. It was like a mom had posted triplets and she was like,
Oh my
"Don't
goodness.
worry, even with triplets, it's all different." And one was
Yeah,
sitting, one was crawling, one was walking. So
I
it's like
love that.
even in the same family, you're gonna see
Yes,
different things. So
absolutely.
comparing like moms or kids from different states or different countries, right, who
It's
do different, it's
not
like,
Don't do it. Yeah, but it's so easy and it just feels, especially when you go to the doctor and they're like, "Oh,
right.
like you're filling out these things. Are they meeting these milestones?" And you're like, "No."
Right. But you know what I was just thinking? I'm like chitty chatting here about the kids, and we're
Yes.
like, don't compare the kids. Shout out to all the moms, right? Let's not compare the moms because the motherhood
Yes.
journey is going to be so different.
Absolutely.
The homes, the cost of a
The
home in
homes.
Texas versus California, you're going to
Oh,
be
it's
looking at
wild.
different things, right?
Absolutely.
Right.
Oh, it's wild. And
So
like
it's
even
just,
just your resources. Like, do you have a partner? Do you live close to family? Like
right.
all of that. Like motherhood is so different. And that's why it's like it is so important that we support each other because we're all doing things the best we can.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know what I really struggled with? So I try to post these like kids activities that I find so helpful. My daughter learned so well through them. We do them together. It's like bonding every
I
day. We have a little
love
anchor.
that.
I
And
love doing
Paisley
them.
is so like how old is she?
She's 3. She's my little
She she is so articulate and so mature. And I'm just like every time we watch your shows, I'm like, okay, kids, we're going outside, we're doing this, like we have to be together and do all these activities. And they're so much fun. And I just look at you like just in your motherhood and I'm like, I love it. Like you're so active and you're so there. And she's so like your parenting directly shows within her. And she is
ah,
so articulate. Like
I
she's
love her.
awesome. She's so
I
cute.
love her. I love her. She's sweet. I love the kids activities. Um
Yes.
her and I we do spend 99% of like we
I
did
love
the
it.
contact naps, we co-sleep, so
Yeah,
like
I
day
love it.
and night we're actually
Yes.
together. But I do love the kids activities when I was in a lot of postpartum anxiety, kind of gave me a
Yeah.
little anchor to get something done. It gave me a thing to kind of strive for. And then I saw how much it helped her with speech and her
Oh my
fine
gosh.
motor skills. I just got my
Yes.
sewing machine out and she was like, okay, let me try. And we sewed a bag. She sewed
Yeah.
a bag for her baby and then a baby carrier. Like I cut it out for her and I was like,
Yeah.
I didn't know how to do this till I was 30. You're 30 years
No,
ahead of
seriously.
me. Like her, anyways, but I post them for other parents who find it
Yeah.
helpful. But I get sometimes it's like people who find it helpful, great. Sometimes I get really negative comments
Ugh.
that I still take so personally, but are so
Yeah.
destructive. And I think like,
I'm so sensitive. I would be
I'm
like in this
so
space, I
sensitive.
would be that's a very hard like boundary.
It's so every time I want to be
That's
like,
hard.
if you meant that comment to hurt my feelings, you were right
You
because I'm
won. You
very
did get
sensitive.
exactly.
Um,
Exactly. Oh,
but
that's so
I always
hurtful. I
think I'm
hate
like,
that for you.
it's it is what it is. But I think why aren't we just supporting one another? Like
Exactly.
I've never been at a place where I feel like I need to sit and destroy somebody with words, a
Yes.
stranger.
Yeah, someone you do not
Right? Like,
know.
no personal
Nothing.
vendetta, not a mean person. It's just like, I
Exactly. But
think
it
you're
says so
doing a
much about
terrible job.
them. And we have to
I always
remind
want to be like,
ourselves that.
I'm sorry you're not feeling heard at home. Your
Exactly.
comments are not being heard. You feel like
Yes,
I'm sorry you're hungry. Here's a video of how to make a
exactly.
sandwich because you seem
Yes.
very hungry. Um, and so, but it's weird because I always want to be like, mom support moms, but then you
Yes.
you you get out there to do it, and then it's like
Yes, and you get eaten
pitchforks and
alive.
fire. Yeah, it's like
Exactly. But it's like we do have to remind ourselves that says so much about them. And there is so much that they're speaking about themselves with those negative comments that I mean, it's kind of
it's
part of
tough.
like putting yourself in this space, but you're doing way more good than those negative comments. You know what I mean? Like you're reaching so many mothers that this is truly helping. Like the activities are so much fun and like just all of it, you know what I mean? And I strive to be with Paisley, like, and we were talking about like postpartum anxiety and things like that. And like one of those things, like letting your child use I can't talk, the sewing machine and like letting them make a mess with those crafts. That can be anxious where it's like, oh, and like letting them use those tactical skills and do all of that and getting over that anxiety of like, oh my God, you're gonna make a mess, you're gonna hurt yourself, you're gonna do this, you're gonna do that. And so like
Right.
letting them be these little independent explorers that they naturally are, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So but yeah, there's
You
always
know,
gonna be someone.
right. I'm like definition of postpartum anxiety, and it like
Same.
when it happened, right? There's the thoughts, the things. I
Yes.
uh I try to be very deliberate about letting go of things that aren't gonna so like this isn't gonna benefit everybody. This was just my
Yes.
way of helping myself. So like
Yeah.
I put away all my like white shirts and nice shirts. That way
Yes.
I don't get mess on me. So I'm not because if it's like, "Oh, I just got this on. You just got it
Exactly.
messy." I don't wanna pass that on to a kid. Like, I'd
No.
rather wear
Mm-mm.
T-shirts, you wear T-shirts, let's get messy for these first few
Exactly.
years, and then we can
Yes.
be cute. I think it's so important to get dressed up and feel like yourself. I have a mom who I
Yes.
follow, and she does her makeup every single day. That's what helps her get up and get
Good
going,
for her.
and I love that for her. It didn't work for me. I didn't
No.
shower for a while. Like, I really let
Yeah,
myself go for a
absolutely.
like I mentioned before we went live, I didn't drive for two and a
Yeah.
half years. I was scared to get in the car. One
Yeah.
time I tried it. We have Chipotle nearby. I was like, I'm gonna get in. I'm gonna drive.
Yeah.
I got 3 feet out the door. Like, it didn't leave my neighborhood. I pulled over. I started bawling my eyes out. I was like, is this the last time I'm gonna
Aw.
see my kids? Because of course, the first time I'm gonna get
Yeah.
in the car because I needed a
Yeah.
mom break. Right. So
Yep.
like these thoughts just came at me, and like,
Constant.
right, right,
And
and it's so
normalizing that
hard.
is so important. And I have anxiety at baseline. I don't know if that's just like a type A thing, but I have anxiety at baseline. And so I was prepping my husband for postpartum, like, I'm going to be an anxious mess. There might be depression involved. Like, we really have to like nurture this postpartum period because I'm scared. Like, I'm scared.
Wait, you said that to him. That's
Yeah,
so important. That's the communication, right? You're
absolutely.
setting those expectations. I
Way like
love that.
it was awesome. It was awesome. And I was like so scared. But when we got into the postpartum period, it was very strange because I wasn't depressed. I definitely did have anxiety, but it was so weird because it didn't show its face like I thought it was going to
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
So and I didn't know this. I thought I was like, okay, like things are okay, all is well. But I was like, okay, I don't have depression. I'm not, having thoughts of
Yeah.
hurting my baby or myself or anything like that. And so I was like, okay, good. Like, this is good. This is good. But I didn't know how bad my postpartum rage was until
Um,
probably 6 to 7 months later. The babies were 6 to 7 months. And I went to touch my husband, like, be affectionate with him. And he kind of jumped and startled, like,
yeah.
that he had been walking on eggshells. And I was like, oh my God. Like, it was like a light bulb to me where I was like, I thought I was okay. You just don't realize until,
It's so
later as
tough.
they grow and your hormones regulate. And you're like, oh my gosh. So we had to kind of work on our relationship in the
Yeah.
weeks upcoming after that, after I kind of realized that, because I was like, oh my gosh, like,
Yeah.
being affectionate again and him knowing, okay, you don't have to walk on eggshells. My hormones are regulating. It's just a crazy time. It is a crazy, crazy time.
You know what? I heard postpartum depression a lot. And I thought because I didn't have postpartum depression, because I wasn't sad.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't have postpartum depression, and I
Yeah.
really waved it off.
Same.
And not until I started coming out of the fog and I got like
Yes.
dressed a little, I brushed my hair, I took a shower for me. I was trying to find these spots to take a shower so I
Yes.
wouldn't leave my dog. And so
Yes.
once I made time for myself and realized, wait, I used to do this. I'm a person. I matter too. It's not just my
Yes.
kids because I had so much anxiety.
Hmm.
Um, I started reflecting and then I realized, oh, I don't have postpartum depression. I had postpartum anxiety, but I didn't know it.
Yeah. That was the same. That was the same with me. And mine was
Right.
more rage. And I feel like the best way I can describe it is like when you're at the beach and it's been a long day, you're in the sun, you're soaking wet, you're in your swimsuit, but you can never, like, you're so excited to go home and shower and be in comfy clothes and watch a movie, but you can't ever get
Yeah.
to that point. And I was leaking and I was just constantly soaking wet and like uncomfortable and just,
Yeah.
and I was just so over it. Like I just wanted to like claw my skin. It was affecting everything else. And like
Yeah.
my babies, they went home on feeding tubes. And so like looking back, there's a lot of things in the like that kind of fresh newborn period that I feel like was taken from me a little bit. So there's like some resentful anxiety and sadness there too, because I felt like it was feed, and then like by mouth. So we would do bottle, and then by the NG tube, which is the nasogastric tube. So it goes to their stomach. So we would do that, whatever they wouldn't finish, just to kind of supplement so they would gain weight. And then I would pump, clean all that, maybe eat, and it was time to do it again. And so I was like,
Right.
when do I get, and they were born in October. So I was expecting like the holidays and like these beautiful, movies on and our
Sure.
matching PJs and all of it. And it was just, and if I would go back and do so many things different. And I mean, I can't think about that too much or you'll just, be so
Right.
sad.
Right.
We got to let some stuff go, but there's so many things
Yeah.
where I'm like, I wish I did more contact naps. I wish I did more, just like different things like that. But I was so limited because of twins and because of all the things you have to do and feeding them and things like that. So I was
It's that
like,
survival mode, right? Where you
yes,
just, it feels like I would describe postpartum like being in an ocean, right? So you don't see land
yes,
inside, you're
yeah,
swimming, and if you have a right, but and if you have a partner, right, it's such an odd dynamic because you expect
yes,
your partner to feel like to know how you're feeling. It's like, aren't
yes.
you in this ocean with me?
Read
At
my
least throw
mind.
me a life-saving ring.
Yes,
Like you're
yes.
causing more storm, and we use all of our patience for our kids. It
Yeah.
we leave
We have
none for
nothing left to
them,
give
which
them.
sucks,
Yeah.
right? Um, I saw this beautiful quote that really kind of resonated with me. It said, "Don't let resentment steal your motherhood."
I love that.
And when I read that,
Wow.
it shook me. I was like,
You're like, oh gosh.
I hate that. I because
Yeah.
it's like I was jealous and envious of my husband's freedom that he
Yeah.
can go take a shower, he
Yeah.
can go and drive and get a
Because they want
haircut,
mommy, mommy,
and
mommy, and they cope differently and they're able to do like their hormones aren't affected. So they do have more of that
right,
freedom that we see firsthand
right,
where it's like you make this look so easy, and you're over here like trying to keep
yeah.
it together.
Yeah, but I didn't take my husband into consideration for some of those things because
Yeah.
he, in a way, I think felt left out. It was me and
Yeah.
him all the time. We were the best friends, and then my
Yeah.
daughter was born, and I was with her, and so
Yeah.
uh, uh, unconsciously he got a little pushed out, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, and that's not okay,
Yeah.
and of course she wants mommy, not daddy, and that's
Of
hard.
course.
He's a parent too. And
Yes.
so, um, because I let and deeper on a deeper level, right? It's like um, I think we get envious of certain things we don't allow ourselves to do. He's really good at setting his own boundaries. So in the morning when he wakes up, he says,
Yeah.
"Oh, can you guys wait? I'm going to drink my vitamins. I'll go outside. I'm going to take
My
this
husband is
time."
the same way, and I let it pent up, and then I expect him to know
Yeah.
what I need and read my mind, and I'm
Yeah.
like, "Well, I would like to do that," and he's like, "All you have to do is
Then
ask."
right. And
Just
so I'm working on this
ask.
literally right now where I'm
Me
like,
too.
yeah, I'm like, wait, because we did an emotions episode, right? And so my daughter
Yes.
Paisley and I started talking about emotions, and we talk
Yeah.
about how angry. We talk
Yeah.
about how it's a mix of emotions, like
Yeah.
disappointed, usually mixed with sad. If we had an
Yeah.
opportunity taken from us, if we think something, we were going to do something, maybe we're excited and it got snagged away, right? We
Yep.
feel something's not fair. And then I
Yeah.
started thinking about it more. I'm like, angry, angry, angry. Where does that even, like, where does that sit? And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's almost like we feel angry when we have a boundary we didn't express clearly enough and it got stepped over, and then I think in motherhood or womanhood, perhaps we're told to be quiet or not to express certain
Yep.
things, whether it's through our childhood, I think most of the
Yeah.
time, we
Absolutely.
stay quiet, and then
Wow.
because nobody backed us up, nobody had our back, we wish they
Yeah.
did. We wish they knew what they were going, right? It's like, but you
Yes.
didn't speak up for me. And it's like, well, you didn't speak up for yourself. I'm mad because
Exactly.
I didn't speak up for myself. I'm angry because
Yeah.
I let my boundary get stepped over. I didn't express it.
Yeah.
And then when I finally saw that, I'm like, oh, I've always
Oh.
known I'm a people pleaser, right?
Same. Same.
Right, right. And then it's like, oh, I'm scared. It's so sad. I'm scared of conflict
Yeah.
because I've seen very chaotic conflict in my
Yes.
childhood. Therefore, I know to back
Absolutely.
up and I
Yeah. And
won't
just,
stir any feathers.
yep.
Right, right.
Exactly. Yep.
And it took me
Wow.
a while to understand that in when my
Yeah.
husband and I have had conflict, not very often, but to him, it's just like
Yeah.
a conversation. And to me, it's very personal. But to him,
You are literally, this is
his,
my marriage.
yeah,
We are
his
dealing with it.
love,
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
his
Because I take everything
love.
so personal.
Right. Isn't it just so hard not to?
It's so hard and you feel
Yeah.
so, um,
Unseen and like
yes,
it's so tricky, right? But they love you so much, they're just not in your
yes,
position and you wish they'd known, but how
yeah,
will they know until you say it is what took me so
yes.
long to it's like speak up for yourself.
And
Because
my
I
husband,
congratulate my daughter when she says
exactly.
something like, "Yes, say what you want."
Yes, that
Yeah.
is so, that is how I am as a parent. I'm so verbal, and it doesn't matter what you do because I think in my childhood, it was always, I was kind of raised in a like, if I was, how do I say it? I was, my worth was based on what I did. So with my dad, it was
Right.
constantly like, okay, if I did this, then, I would, and I don't want that to be like their
Yeah.
worth is just because they're here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So if you do this, I'm so proud of you and I'm so excited and I love you so much. And just constantly just instilling that confidence in them
Yeah.
that we didn't get as our inner voice. And so my husband is so amazing with confrontation and conflict and like respectfully, and I just hear one word and I clam up and I'm like, this is, he's like, it's not personal. It's not a target. It's not to hurt you. This is really to overcome the conflict and things like that. And
Yeah.
that's nothing that I learned. Like you said, chaotic
Yeah.
communication in childhood. That's what, and especially like being from the South, like people put things, below the, under the
Right,
rug. And
right.
it's like, oh, it's fine. It's fine. And then you
Right.
go talk crap behind their back. And I'm like, no, that's not how we solve things,
Right.
But
That
yeah,
kinda helped me, once I started seeing that as well. It's like, wait, if I ever need to tell my daughter something, I'm telling her that from a place of love. And then I was
absolutely.
like, "Oh, my husband
That's
does
what
that
he's doing
to
with us.
me."
Yeah.
And that's what I wanna do to him as well, is I wanna be
Yeah,
upfront and honest with him instead of,
absolutely.
um, and I wanna be honest with myself, right? Because how is he ever gonna know which boundaries are okay or
Exactly.
not to cross if I don't ever, um
Exactly.
express that, right? And so I think it's so tricky because this parenthood, right? It's like you got to learn how you're parenting your kids, but in a way you're parenting yourself to the
You're
point of like, oh,
reparenting yourself and
it's
what you
tough.
need and how to communicate. And I mean, it's crazy. And those roots really do go deep, and you're forced to face them as a parent. You really are forced to face them. And
I think
so
we're
it's,
so
oof,
much of us who we are as adults is
yeah,
how childhood molded us, what certain things happened, and
yeah,
what things hurt the most, right? Because we tend to
absolutely.
remember the negative things a little more. Um,
Yes, absolutely.
And similarly, because I have a really negative inner voice, I wanted to make sure before I
Yes,
started the show, even I started talking
yeah,
to my daughter in a really positive way. We don't say any
yeah,
negative words around because we know, like, uh, like if you're in a room of people and you hear somebody say your name and chat about you, you like perk up and listen a little
yep,
more. I
yep.
think kids do the same thing. So
Oh,
all of our
absolutely.
conversation, we filter out or use it. So I'll be like, "Hey, Daddy,
Yes,
Paisley or Ezzy did this," because
yeah,
they're listening and they're taking it
yes.
in, and so we only
Oh, I
use it
love
for like
that.
positive encouragement.
Yes.
And because of the people pleasing and not expressing boundaries, I always anything that happens, bad or good, we always say, let's tell daddy about it. Let's tell mommy about it. Anything that
Yes.
happens, we colored
Yes.
this picture. So our kids always know, hey, with anything, they can
Oh,
come to mommy or
you can
daddy and
tell
it's
us.
safe. It's
Absolutely.
safe at any point.
I
We try to
love
use
that.
words like, I think kids learn from habits, verbal or
Yeah,
physical habits. It's the things you say all the
absolutely.
time, it's the things you do all the
Yep.
time. So when my kids say, "Hey, can you help me with that?" I try to be like, "I will always be here for you. I will help you
Yes.
no matter what." Because it's like
Yes, let's
whether
do
it's
it.
tying your
Yeah.
shoes today or a breakup
Or
later on, you can
yes.
come to me.
Oh,
Like I can't go to my parents for certain things.
yeah.
I struggled so much with who I am as a person due to my childhood and
Yeah.
upbringing, and like
Oh, you're gonna make me cry. This
I
is
oh girl,
same.
I want to make sure I'm not giving any of that to my kid, you know what I mean?
Yes.
Like they weren't born being it's the hardest thing to realize is like things we get triggered is like things we
Oh,
couldn't do ourselves, right? So it's like if your
yes.
parents told you not to do this when your kid's doing it, you're like, I got to tell you not to whine
Oh,
because I
yeah.
was beat for this. And like, if you're going to whine, you're
Exactly.
about to get it. And it's like, wait, no, they're not here
Exactly.
to hurt you.
No. Mm-mm.
You're safe. Whoa. And then you got to tell yourself that, right? Because that's your inner child
Yeah.
screaming. Your inner child's having a tantrum saying, I don't want to get hurt. I don't want to get hurt, right? And you got to be like,
Exactly.
wait, I got you.
And then
Hey,
creating a calm
hey, you're
environment
safe.
for your family and for your kids knowing,
Yeah.
because there's times where I even go to my parents today and I'm like, okay, I can feel myself getting revved up, getting my
Oh,
anxiety, and I'm ready to go home and I'm ready to be in my peaceful, calm home. And so
yeah.
there's so many things that we do, like you said, how you speak to your kids, letting them know like this is safe. There's
Right.
like their playroom, like I allow them to do things that I'm not going to get upset about or freak out about. I'm
Yeah.
not going to have $100 blanket on the
Yeah.
bedspread that you're going to play on because I'm going to freak out. You know what I mean? Things like that, where it's just like, this is calm. We get to communicate with each other. There is
Yeah.
no, it's not a, I feel like a lot of my childhood was so fight or flight. You know what I mean? And my parents are incredible. Like I was, my biological dad left me when I was very little. And so we have a lot of half siblings. I actually just had another sibling come forward. There's several of us.
Wow.
But this young man is absolutely incredible. He is 21 years old and he just recently came to my life. And our genes, like the genes of my biological father, are insane. And that's actually where the
Yeah.
twins came from. So
Wow.
I was like, yay, thank you.
How
Didn't really get
interesting.
a, I always make a like kind of morbid joke, but I'm like, I didn't really get a childhood from him, but I got that fertility, that twin gene. So
Sure.
I'm blessed. I'm so thankful. And
And
so,
maybe for a good reason, right? I'm in a
absolutely.
similar biological father thing, and
Yes.
the years I did experience with him, I wish
You're
I
like, thank
didn't,
goodness.
right?
Absolutely. Because where would we
So
be now? And then I was adopted at 8. My mom remarried and they adopted me, and and this man is incredible. I mean, he has his ways and things like that. And definitely butt heads growing up, but he was there, and so my mom was very
yeah,
young when she had me, and there's just so many things that I remember looking back as a kid and knowing I'm not going to do that because I don't want to be in that situation. I don't want
ah,
to
right,
be in this situation. So,
right, right.
but yeah, there's so many things that happened, and I was so like, when you see how easy it is to be such a good parent, you get so angry with the people who aren't, because you're like, it is
Yeah,
so easy to love them. It is so easy to do these things. And so you're like,
right.
why not me? Like, why wasn't I given that? Why wasn't I? And I see it's
It's
so
triggering.
funny. Oh, it's so triggering and it's
It's triggering.
crazy. Like, my
Right, because it's like,
daughter,
if I can do it, why couldn't you do it? Why couldn't you love me the same way I
is
love
it
my kids?
me?
Which is so hard.
Exactly.
Right, right.
You
It's hard
have no
to,
one to blame but yourself. Absolutely. And it's so crazy because I grew up in a house with my grandpa, my uncles. It was just, and I thought that was the norm. Like, we lived in a
sure.
house with, my mom was young, wasn't married. All that happened later. And that was my norm. And so, and it's crazy to me because I see my daughter, and anything, she'll look at my husband. My husband's like, good job. Like, you did so good,
Mm,
blah, blah, blah. And it's such a natural need for her approval, and it just breaks me because I was like, I didn't get that. I didn't have
yeah,
that, and I probably had that natural need to
yeah.
to have that man figure to clap for me. And so, like, seeing that, there's so many things that just bring up old stuff.
Girl, let me tell you what, I recently realized, like, sometimes I want to be like, the reason we all need to be positive, patient parents is that our kids don't date red flags, right? It's like if we can do one big thing for our
Yes.
kids, let's not let
Yes.
them date red flags because the amount of red
Absolutely.
flags I took off the field as a favor for, I was like collecting them at a
uh,
point, you know what I mean? I was
oh,
like,
I'm trying to
why? And then you
heal
think,
the amount of people.
right, right. And then you're like, gosh, why does this keep happening? And it's like, God's like,
Yes,
I'm trying to teach you a lesson.
I'm
You
trying to
keep
tell
taking the
you.
bait, get
You
out of the
keep
trap.
Like,
Right, and I'm like,
thousand
"God, can you
percent,
say it louder?" He's like, "Yeah, I'll send you another one. Here's
thousand
another
percent.
trash bag for you to
And
pack."
there I
And
am.
right,
Exactly.
ditto,
That
and
is
so, like,
so
I didn't
funny.
get that support, and so as soon
Yeah.
as somebody gave me a compliment,
Yes.
soon
I
as
was
somebody
hooked.
was like, yeah, I was like, "Oh,
Yeah.
maybe you're
And
the
I don't
one,"
want to say
you
I was the
know?
girl with daddy issues, but that it's a
Oh,
thing.
100%.
It is a thing. Like, I am the face of daddy issues where I mean, I would have these
Right.
terrible men give me, like you said, an ounce of attention. And I was like, I will do anything. I will be like, I remember this is so pathetic and so stupid, but like if a guy liked basketball, I would Google like his favorite team and be like, oh yeah, this,
Totally
and
right.
I'm just like, there's so many things
Right.
where I want to instill in my daughter that when you are 100% yourself and you are
Yep,
so true to yourself and your interests and you're not trying to be someone else, you will find
yep,
that person that you can
yep.
actually be yourself. And so, thank God, I say this all the time. Thank goodness I did not have a baby with any ex on accident or anything, and that
Sure.
I am, you know what I mean? Like, thank
Right,
God nothing happened
right.
because I would probably be God knows where and not
It's
where I am
tough.
today. So,
It's so tough, but that's what we
whew,
can do for our kids, right? They gotta have this.
yes,
I wanna instill this, like, confidence, this courage, this, like,
your
self-confidence that
value.
won't waver, right? Because I
Yes,
also I weigh my self-worth and productivity, and I
absolutely.
struggle. I get mad at my husband because he's relaxing on the couch because I won't let right, because I won't let
Yeah,
myself relax. I'm like,
yep,
"But there's so much to do." He's like, "No, you can
yeah,
just relax," and he's right. It's just I
yes.
don't let myself do that. I feel bad
Me
because I was
too,
brought
and I
up with,
wonder
like,
if that goes
"You
back
can
to
lead, you can
anxiety
clean."
too, of like, like I can't settle unless this is done. I can't settle unless I'm doing,
Right.
you know what I mean? And I feel like so many women have that, and I'm like, maybe it was like a generational thing where that's kind of all like that was most of our upbringing for
Girl,
most of us.
it's
So I think a
such
lot of
it's
people can relate.
100%. And I grew up in Russia where we had
Yeah.
nothing. We had absolutely
Yes.
nothing. We had to fish for
Oh.
food. We'd go foraging
Mm.
for berries, make so much jam. If we didn't make jam, there'd be nothing sweet for the winter. We had potatoes in
Mm.
a bag. If we ran out of potatoes, there's nothing to eat. Like we
Yeah.
were in a little village. I literally had like I know we had cabbage all winter long one year
Yeah.
because we had nothing. And
Wow.
you know, I had to do gardening and foraging to survive,
Yeah.
where it's such a hip thing to do, and I'm like, "Man,
Yeah.
if my grandma
You're
could
like, you have
see
no
this, she'd be
idea.
like, 'Are you guys doing this for fun? People are paying now to get strawberries.' And it's like, pick your own strawberry field. Like we
Oh
got
my gosh.
hit for not picking berries, you know. Um,
Yeah.
but it comes
Wow.
from their their place of survival, right?
Yeah,
They
constant fight or
had
flight.
to do they never left them. And
Yeah.
so and I've seen this in myself. I try to have most patience. I mean, if I see myself getting anxious, I'll really slow down to force myself. So when my kid
Yes.
says,
Reel it
"Why for the
in. Yeah.
19th time?" I'm like,
Like,
"Well,
all is good.
because when we take and it
Yeah.
causes me to regroup, right? Because if
Yeah.
I think kids see in color, especially when they're babies. So when we're mad
Yes.
and angry, they'll see that first
Yeah.
before our response, and they'll catch an attitude with you right away because they're
Yeah.
mirroring you, right? So they're like,
Mhm.
"Hey, you want to do this?
So
Let's
true.
go." And
Yes.
so before I get to that stage, right, I
So
get in the
true.
control because if she gets dysregulated, I need to be
Mhm.
steady as a rock and I need to be there right now, right, before we get to the
Absolutely.
hump. Because once we're over the hump, now we're reeling everything in, right? It's not you can't
Yes.
learn anything if you're already. It's like getting ready to tantrum, right? If you're here at red lights, you can't teach anything. You can't do anything because
Yeah.
when we're upset, we can't learn anything, right? And so we need to get either over the hump peacefully
Yeah.
or let's pause it before the hump because there's so much you can do and so many techniques and strategies you can do before
Yes.
things lose control. And so I always try to stay over
Absolutely.
here and I slow down. But I think when I'm in that mode of, gosh, I've been trying to do
Yeah.
this and this is wet, my pants are feeling a little tight, this is buzzing, this is going on. I've
Yes.
repeated myself 17 times. So,
Yes.
things are staggering, right?
Yeah.
You want to be a little bit shorter with your kids, right? Because it's like,
Yeah.
can't you understand? I'm
Yeah.
overwhelmed.
Yeah.
You can't
Can't you
say that because
see?
they
Yeah.
don't, right? But then
Yeah.
it takes me back. I'm like, this is where my grandma was and my mom was, is
Yeah.
that they were so much in that my mom was working 2 jobs, day and night. So it's like,
Yeah.
no, she didn't have time to be with me and play with me, and I
Yeah.
get triggered because and my dad was abusive, so it's like
Yeah.
I thought that that was how people show love.
Yeah. That's not, yeah,
And then
exactly.
right, and so it's like, I want to be mad, but at the same level, like, I don't know how I'd be acting if I was in that position generation ago, right? So it's like, no
Yeah.
internet, no motherhood reels
Yes.
that are showing you different ways to
Exactly. This
do
is how we
things.
regulate. Yeah.
Right, and then from our own personal experience, like, your kids pick up everything from you,
Yeah.
right? So it's like, oh, our parents pick things up from their parents, and they had no idea that they needed to change because there's
Yeah.
nothing else as a role model to
There's
even
nothing else.
see.
Yeah.
They had no
Yeah.
clue, right? It's like they're in a cave. They've never been out. It's like we
Absolutely.
have this exposure to
Other options,
international
other
things and
alternatives, other
right,
ways to communicate with our kids that do prevent.
right. And they
Exactly. And
didn't
that's where
have that.
we give parents grace too, where you're like, okay,
Right.
I know this isn't.
Have you seen those where it's like you take muddy water, it's like
Yes.
parenting to kids and you take
Yep.
it. So I love it's like
I
and the
love it.
next one
It's
gets
such a
clearer, next
visual.
one gets clearer, right?
Yes.
And I was
That's what we're
thinking,
doing.
but we forget the bottle before us.
Yeah.
Our parents, maybe they poured that dirt in, but they didn't pour all the dirt, right? They
Exactly.
filtered some through.
Exactly.
They what they could.
Absolutely.
And their
Absolutely.
parents what they could,
And it's
right?
so
It's like
hard to
it's so
forget.
hard.
It's so easy to forget about that and think about the
Yeah.
things that were passed on to you and that you're trying to disintegrate in your 20s and 30s and you're trying to get rid
And
of
unlearn,
and
right?
clear out, you know what I mean? But like you
It's
said, like we
tough,
do have to give them grace and we do have to give them that credit for what they did clear out, you know what I mean? Because
right?
there is a lot of stuff that
They
they did.
they didn't have iPhones. You know what I'd do
Exactly.
without my iPhone right
Oh, I don't know.
now?
I seriously, like the amount that I learned from TikTok, I hate to say it, but that is like my research with anything from skincare to what
I
type of bottles
learned
to
a lot.
twins. TikTok
I
is
didn't
my
like we
go-to.
mentioned earlier, I didn't know what overtouched was, and so
Yeah,
when somebody put a name to it, I was like,
it's a game
"Oh my
changer.
gosh,
It is a
it
game
has a
changer.
word. I'm not alone."
Yes.
Intrusive thoughts. I didn't know postpartum
And that you're
intrusive
not
thoughts was a thing.
alone. And like
Yeah,
to have someone put themselves out there on the internet and describe what you're
yeah,
feeling and be like, this is motherhood. This is normal. This is
yeah,
unfiltered motherhood. And you're like,
right.
okay, I'm not
You know
alone.
what's
Like, so there's so
crazy?
much benefits to it.
I used to watch this, I think it was like on Netflix or something, but it's like a
Yeah.
prison show. It was like
Prison Break.
60 days in for
Oh,
60 days. It's like,
yes.
people would go in to see what it was
Yeah.
really like. And
Yeah.
a lot of them would say, you know, once you're in, you're like in this community. And when you get out, it's almost hard to see what's going on in the real world because you
Yeah.
just get so, and you hear this from soldiers a lot, right?
Survival
It's
mode.
like,
Yes.
right. So, because they get in, they're with their team, they
Yeah.
just need to get this done so they can make
Yes.
it home.
Yes.
And then you get into back in social life, and veterans struggle with this. It's like, how
How
do
do you
we get
integrate into
back?
normal?
Right. And I'm not comparing motherhood to soldiers or prisoners, but I am
Yes.
comparing this community. Right. It's like, but there is this
Yeah.
community feel of like, you go
You
into
get it.
motherhood, you're this, and then you find this community that kind of has answers,
Yes.
and it's for a while, right? It's like when you're fresh postpartum and you've been with your kid for a year, you go and talk to another mom, and you're like, I don't know what to talk about unless we're talking
Yeah.
about kid things right now, because all I
Exactly.
know is kid things for a while. And it's
Exactly.
hard to get yourself back in that
Yeah, it's like,
place.
who am I? What did I like before? What did we like? I had normal friendships and brunches. Like, what do I do if I'm not, you
But then
know?
your taste, right? But then your taste also changes. Like
Yes.
I thought so many things were important, whereas now
So, oh my
I
goodness.
I just don't want to do anything except spend time with my I love being
Yes.
with my kids so much. And so I'm like,
Yes.
how do I make sure my kids always want to hang out with me when they're older? I want them to come home for
Yes.
every holiday. When I
Yes.
was a brand new mom, I got stuck on the TikTok's algorithm side of grandmas sharing their things.
Yeah.
And I'm so thankful for it because I kept seeing
Yeah.
over and over of these grandmas who are like, the only thing I wish is that I had less anxiety when I was a brand new mom.
Yeah.
Now that I'm a grandma, I'm really glad that because my grandkids, I get to parent them how I wish I did, and I saw that over and
Yes.
over again, said in different ways, and so I thought,
That is so
I don't want to,
true.
I don't want to lose this.
My own mom and mother-in-law say the same stuff. They're like, this is so much better
Yeah,
and so much more fruitful being a grandparent because you're not worried about dishes and bills and okay, what if I screw you up or what if we do this? They get the
right.
fun part of it. They get the, the snacks and the activities and the
But
bonding.
Brittany, like I made it a point. I was like, I'm not gonna miss this. I need
Yeah.
to do this right now as
Yeah.
a point of view of a grandma. It's like, okay,
Yes.
whatever this is, you're asking me to get you this thing one more time. Am I gonna be bad at this later when I'm a grandma?
Yes.
Heck no, I'm gonna go get this thing for you and I'm gonna jump about it because goodness, I'm thankful to be
Yes.
spending time with
And
you.
it's
Every
so
moment matters. They're
exactly.
growing up so fast, right? It's like after they're 10, they got
Yeah.
their own things. So it's like you only get 10, you only get
Yeah,
1
we
year of
only
them as
get
a
them that
baby.
exactly.
It's 1% if
Oh,
they live to be 100, right? It's like you
yes.
get to know them as an adult. You're gonna get to do all these adult things with them.
Yes.
It's like I
And
I
the
I
relation
don't
we
believe.
establish now will,
Right,
continue to
right,
grow.
right. I see this all the time where it's like, gosh, I saw this thing where it's like, hey, happy growing up, that happy knowing that my kids are growing up in a family who doesn't know, who thinks a spoon is for stirring, a
Yeah.
belt is for your pants,
Yes.
and a room is for fun, not, and it's like,
Yes. You're like,
right?
whoa.
And then some
Yeah.
comments, right? It's like, oh, but comments did not pass the vibe check, right? Some comments were
No,
like,
I'm
"That's so
sure.
weak. Your kids are gonna grow up weak. You need to be." I'm like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
I don't
Like,
think
get the,
discipline and punishment are the same, right?
no.
We can talk at athletes. Let's talk about Olympics, right?
Yes.
Ooh, Olympics are looking good. Those girls are just like strong and
Yes.
they've got discipline. I tell you what, but they didn't get it
Yes.
through punishment. They're not getting
They
it. They
did
just
not get it
want to
through
do it.
threats and
They
fear
want to
and
do it. So make your kid want to
confidence and
do it.
drive. Absolutely.
Right, right. We don't need to hit our, well, they need to learn now how to say
Yeah.
yes to a boss, not when they're 5. They don't have a
Yeah.
boss right now. Let them have a
Yeah.
childhood. They're going to learn that. They're going to
Exactly.
be an adult for such a long time. Let them be
Yes.
a kid.
Let
Let them be
them.
a kid to a, but you can still learn things. You can still have a discipline. You can do
Absolutely.
things through a fun way. With my daughter, I mean, we talk about the most amazing things,
Yes, and
right?
I want
It's like
so much
these
transparency. No
beautiful
topic is
things.
off limits because I feel like that's how I was grown up too, where it's like, you just don't talk about that with your mom, or why would you, oh, like, why would you do that? Why would
Yeah,
you don't talk about that? And
right.
I want my kids to be able to come to me
Anything.
with absolutely anything, regardless of the stage of life, regardless if they're in trouble, like just
Yeah.
that complete open communication. And that starts so young. You know what I mean? That starts today.
Right, right. Because somebody was arguing in the comments. Did like a whole comment search, and somebody was arguing
Yeah.
about like, um, well, then they're gonna, if you don't hit him, then they're gonna like,
Mm.
oh, if you do hit him, then they won't do the things, right? And I was like, they
No.
might still do
Mm.
the things. They're just not gonna tell you about it. They're gonna sneak these
Exactly.
things, right? They're gonna wait to get out. They're gonna wait till they're, oh, I can't wait till I
Yes.
get out and I can do. And I'm
Yeah.
like, I don't want my kid to wait to get
And
out. I
that
want you to love
curiosity
it
of
here.
like the more you say no, and especially like my childhood was very because I said so. I am the dominant one.
Yeah,
I am the man. I am the father of the house. You don't do this because I say
right.
so. And I remember just anger because there wasn't a conversation of why. I wasn't learning anything. It was
Yeah.
just like because I said so and because you are less than. You
Wow.
are there was a lot of like sense of like belittling and just trying to be better and
Yes,
trying to be seen and
that's the
trying.
thing, right? It's this
Yes.
control thing, right? And then you're like,
Yes.
wait, you're just trying to get control over a 2-year-old, and I feel
Yeah.
bad for you because you feel so insecure in your life that you think you
Exactly.
need to put power over somebody who
Absolutely.
has no power,
And then I have
right?
so
They
much
can't
power as
even
an
get out.
adult because I'm like, I'm not that little girl anymore. But
Yeah,
I will tell you there's times where I still feel that way, you know what I mean? And I have to
it's in you.
kind of rein it back in.
Yeah,
And there's certain things that, will not happen around my kids because that's not what I want for them. And I don't want them feeling that way, or I don't want them to feel like they haven't done enough when, they're
right,
it's
right.
crazy. But yeah, it's something. It's deep.
It's tough. and it's tough in every situation, right? Because
Yeah.
then I think of my mom who had to struggle so much, and I get really
Yeah.
mad when I think about she would beat us, and like I don't know, I would see it and the belt and the stuff, and then you're like,
Yeah.
man, how could you do that?
How?
Because I can't put
Yeah.
myself in that position.
Yeah.
But then you're like,
Regardless of how
I
angry, regardless,
right, but you
you're
know
like,
what?
I
I'm not
can't.
in her position. I'm not
Exactly.
back in Russia
Yes.
killing my back
Exactly.
to get a potato so we can just all eat tonight, right? I can
Exactly.
order Uber Eats and we're all
Yeah.
eating
I
and I
can't
can right.
imagine what she's
So I
holding on
can't,
to and the release that
right.
the only
What did
person
she do
she
that
can
I
let
don't
go
know about?
to. Exactly.
Right.
So, like, the only release
And I
that she
think
has is to people that are powerless, which is, was unfortunately
it's
you guys,
tough.
like just us as kids.
But I think it's important that we pass only the good things to our kids and the way
Yes,
we speak to them and the things we speak to them, right? They're going to catch the things that we say a
absolutely.
lot. And I think
Yeah,
explaining everything is such a big part of
yeah,
it. Like, let's explain it every time. And I
yes.
see it with my daughter, whatever it is, I'll explain it. And then the one time I don't, before I even start going to it, she's like, oh, because this and this and this. And I'm like,
Yeah, and you're
yeah,
like,
that's
yeah,
exactly it. That's
yeah,
exactly it. And now with my young, with her baby, I'll be like, hey, I gotta get your boogies, I gotta
yes,
get your diaper. And we'll do a voiceover for
yeah,
my son. It's like, sister, why is
yeah.
mommy taking my diapers? And she just wants you to be comfortable. She's not taking anything from you,
Yes, she's not,
baby.
yeah.
Oh, she just wants,
Oh,
and so she's explaining all the things
yeah.
to him because
So you're
she
actively
also
seeing
understands it.
her. It's just
Right. So it's like
amazing. That's
I
incredible.
gentle parented her, she's gentle sibling her
I love
her
that.
baby, but they're amazing
Yes.
together. I can't with them. I just
And it's
can't.
just
They're
amazing to
too cute.
know in our hearts how far ahead our daughters will be than we were. You know what I mean? From confidence to what they say
Brittany.
yes to boundaries, to standards, to that
Oh my
internal
gosh.
voice because they're starting so young. Like
I come
they are going to be
alive. I come
powerhouses.
alive. Oh,
Like
girl. I come
someone's going to say
alive when
something
she
to
does it.
Paisley. Oh my God, it's going to be amazing. Someone's going to say something. She's going to be like, okay, like, and just that's it. And
And
I
she
would,
does.
I love it.
Right, right. I see it a little bit popping up. We do this thing where it's like, hey, are you ready to go do this? Or are you still enjoying coloring? Are you still
Yeah.
enjoying your lunch? To now turning to, it's like, hey, you know what? I'm not ready for this. I'm still enjoying this activity. And I'm like, great.
Wow. I love
I
that.
wish I could say that out
Yeah.
loud. Oh my gosh. Or if my
Yes.
husband will say like, "Hey, we need to go to," she's like, "I'm still enjoying this, but once I'm done, I'll be ready." And I'm like, "Speak
Yes.
for yourself, girl. I will never be able to do it, but I'm glad you
Yes. Because, like, I
can.
mean,
I'm just
that, like
fighting
you
from the
said, especially with us being people pleasers in adulthood, that turns into, okay, all right, let me just put
right,
this away and then, blah, blah, and I'm here, I'll do this, I'll do this, I'll do this. And she's like setting that boundary of, no, I'm not done yet. I'm still enjoying
yeah,
myself. And I will meet
right."
you when I'm ready to go to the next activity. And that is
I think
powerhouse.
that's oh my gosh, she's
We are
so good
creating
at
a
it because she's
generation
like,
of powerful
right,
women.
right, right, who are
Yeah.
very certain there isn't, and she doesn't have that. I feel bad for saying no. I feel bad. It's like, no, this is
Yeah.
just
There's no
where I'm
guilt. There's
at.
no, this is what
Meet
I
me
would like
where
to
I'm
do.
at.
Yes.
Right. It's so
Guilt. I mean, I
beautiful
feel
to
like that
witness.
is, yes, it's so beautiful because I feel like guilt is my internal, like if did
Yeah,
I was I weird, did I say something, did I hurt her, did I
totally.
was I not quick enough to finish what I was doing so I could go do that, like
Right.
not setting those
Right.
boundaries and then feeling bad about it. And so
She sleeps well. She doesn't replay conversations in her head of what
that
she
is how
should
it
have,
should
shouldn't
be.
say. She's very authentic. She says what she
Yes.
feels in a very polite, very good way that you're like,
Yes.
oh, yes, I would love that. And she explains
Yeah.
it too. We've explained. So she explained, and I'm like,
I love it.
man, to have, I'm unlearning to try to do this at
Yeah.
33. She has this power at 3
We're
to
teaching them
make
and
executive
ourselves.
decisions.
Oh, it's
Girl,
incredible.
girl, I've become a
Oh,
better woman since I've had a daughter and a
yes.
son now. I'm like, who
Yes.
am I now, right? It's
Yes.
so, you know what? This is
I love
completely
it.
off topic, but I just thought my husband did something yesterday that I thought was so beautiful. I just want to share with everybody.
Yeah.
Um, we were at a playground. She was climbing. She's a little more
Yeah.
timid. And so we want to be really encouraging with risky
Yeah.
things, but we want to know hey, we're always there. So when you need somebody,
Yeah.
we're here. So she's
Yeah.
climbing up, and we try not to say be careful because like too vague, but we're like, watch your hands, or like, is it
Yes.
slippery? Check where you're
Yes.
whatever it is, right?
Exactly.
And he said this was so beautiful. I was mad at him, so I didn't want to be like,
Good
but
job.
I'm gonna get right. I'm gonna give credit where I wasn't even mad at him. I was hungry. I was just
Just,
hungry.
oh, of
Um,
course.
And so, but he did such a good job. So she's climbing up. It's about to be that pause where either I'm gonna
Yeah,
jump in or she's gonna say, and he just goes,
yeah,
"What's your next move?" Very
yeah.
invitingly, to a point where I thought,
Wow.
what a beautiful way to invite her to think,
Yeah,
okay, what are the options ahead of me? What will be the safest thing to do? It wasn't,
yeah.
I'm going to
Wow.
instill fear into you with be careful or watch out or where are
Yeah,
you
or
going
don't
or
do
don't,
that. Yeah,
right. It was very, very inviting, very warm to
yeah.
say, what's your next move?
Wow.
And she's like,
I
okay,
love
here's
that.
what I'm thinking, but I'm not sure if it's going to work. Great. We're here to support you either way. Wonderful. And I was like,
I love
whoa,
that.
I'm going to say that to her more often. I wish somebody would say that to me. It's just like, I'm here for you. I just want you to consider your next move, right? It was
Yeah.
very like,
Like
again, it's
just
like I felt like she received an invitation with a ribbon, right? And she's like, let me open this. Do I
yeah.
want to accept this invitation? Right? It was
Yeah.
very like, I
It's
have
up to
all the time in
me.
the
I get to
world.
use my context clues and how I feel to make the
Right.
next
So it's,
decision.
again, all the control, all the powers in her
Yes.
hand. And this was like the most parenting thing, right? Like as a parent, we just want to be there to support you to
Yeah.
make best choices for your safety,
Yeah.
but you are in control. And it was done so beautifully. I was like,
That's
yeah,
amazing. Oh,
man.
yes,
That's
sir.
why you're the daddy of my
Yes,
kids.
right?
Right,
There's so many
right.
things that my husband does that you're just so thankful. Like I am so thankful that my daughter gets to have you as a father. And there's so many times where my husband does, it sounds so weird, but like that sometimes my own husband is a father figure to me. Like I know that sounds so creepy and weird, but like there's things that he does to instill
Sure.
confidence in myself and to make me take a pause and be like, oh, like
Aw.
you're doing a great job. And there's things that,
Yeah,
certain things that I didn't get in childhood from a father figure that
right.
he does give me and that I do, because I'm,
Yeah,
like you said, we're relearning, we're unlearning.
right.
And then to have him as a support help me with all of
Yeah.
that, it's just incredible. So I can't wait to
I,
instill into my
it's,
kids. It is so important who you pick as a partner because when you reproduce with
right,
them and create another human life, there's things you go
right,
through, you know what I mean? Way before babies are here. And then it's even harder after. So it
right,
is so important to choose someone that,
right.
you can handle those things with.
You know what's so funny? Well, two things. One, I want to mention is that it's super important that kids say no to their parents because I think it's important
Yes.
that they can say no to us because then
Yeah,
when they need to say it, they feel confident doing so, right? When
absolutely.
other opportunities
Knowing
are
there's no
presented in front of them.
repercussion, there's no
Right,
fear to
right.
saying no.
It's
Exactly.
important. You're a human being. You have your
Yes.
likes and your don't likes. It's important you express
Yeah,
them and feel
exactly.
sturdy and unwavered that that is
And
the
going
right
back to
answer,
those
right?
boundaries of setting those, and if they can set those with us with no fear, when we're not around and there's, peer
Right,
pressure and things like that that look so different as they grow up, there's no
right.
there's no problem saying no, I'm okay, like I'm good, thank you.
Totally.
Or, just setting those
Right.
boundaries.
Something else I was thinking about, something we did early on was like, okay, the way we speak to our kids, the way they're going to speak to themselves, right? So we always want to be
Yes,
positive and really encouraging
absolutely.
and stuff. And something we do in our house that kind of help us a lot, and this is for anybody listening, but
Yeah.
you know how like our daughter says please and thank you all the time because we wanted to make sure we say please and thank you to her. So it's like, hey, can you
Yeah.
please pass this? Thank you. And then
Yes.
we do it to each other
To
too.
each
And we kind of had a
other.
kind of talk of like,
Yes.
hey, we want to set a really good example. So we're going to be a little extra with
Yes.
it. Let's do
Gonna
it
be a little,
together. So it's
yep,
like,
exactly.
mommy, can you do this? Daddy, can you do this? And it helps your kids set an example of how that
Yes.
question and response, how that appreciation happens, and to cue them,
Yes.
oh, yeah, you did do the dishes. Thank you for doing the dishes,
Yeah.
right? Because then they get to see you do it. You get to say it to the kids so they get to hear themselves. You say it to each other
Yes.
so they get to see the
I
modeling of
love
it.
that.
And then to it helps your relationship, right? Because then you're
Yeah.
noticing the little things that each other do. It's like, thank
Yes.
you for getting the dishes.
Exactly.
Thank you for going to the grocery store.
Yes. Or I
Thank
see
you
that
for
you did
picking up.
this. Yes.
Right. So you
I
feel
love
noticed
that.
with your partner. So not only your
Yes.
kids get to see it,
Yeah.
they get to model and example it. And then again, when they grow up, right, wouldn't you want them to have that in a partner? So they should see it as the
Absolutely.
example.
Yeah, so when
But it
it's
can be
not
tough.
like that and somebody does respond in a negative, more abusive tone, they're like, oh, no, 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 that's not how it's supposed to be. And it doesn't have to look like that. You know what I mean?
Right.
So they know,
Right.
okay, I'm good. Like, this is
I,
not the
I,
example that was set for me.
I think kids know right away, right? They can read
Yeah.
you. I think we can all think of our parents, like
Yeah.
how old are you when you figured out who your parents were, right? When did you
Yeah.
figure things out? It's like our kids are watching us all the time and they're trying to figure out how to be a human by watching us. So what is the example that we're setting, right? It's like if we
Absolutely.
get easily agitated or we're frustrated or yelling at the traffic, you're yelling at whatever it is,
Yeah.
of course they're going to do that because they think that's the way to handle things. I thought,
Yeah.
um, I grew up with like my biological father was like abusive and drunk and all of that and
Mhm.
stuff. And so for
Yeah.
a while I was like, well, obviously that's the way people just show love because if he loves me,
Obviously.
this is so if people are rude to you, then that's okay. If people are mean to you,
Yeah.
that's okay. And I'm like, man, that shaped me to accept that kind of love. And
Yes.
that is
Oh,
not what I want
there
for
was
my right.
something
It's like we
on, I think it was maybe Instagram or something. There was something that spoke to me, and it was like, stop teaching your daughter that little boys that like her are mean to you and throw rocks. Remember as a kid, were you ever
right,
taught that?
right.
Where it's like,
Totally. It's like,
oh,
oh,
they're,
they just like you.
and
And
you're
it's like,
like,
why
oh,
is that
stop it. Yeah, exactly.
that's weird.
Yeah, I'm like,
There's
that's not
there's a
okay.
lot of weird stuff.
Yes, so
But
many
again,
weird things.
it was such a different culture too. Like we grew up
Yeah.
with fairy tales even, right? And they originally were made
Mm,
to keep kids safe. It's like, don't go in the forest, right? The Little
yeah.
Red Riding Hood. And so it's like
Yeah.
they grew up in such a different um
Yeah.
space and
Yeah.
environment that but I struggle with the punishment thing because it's like
Yeah.
a defenseless tiny human being who had and sometimes I think when
Mm,
parents who fight for the discipline and punishment and the belt and stuff they're like well that's how how you teach them stuff. I'm like
yeah.
would you not consider that abuse if you did it to your spouse, somebody
Exactly.
somebody who's your peer who can speak to the police,
Yes.
who can drive a car away, would be
Would
considered
you
who is your
not?
age and height, that's abuse. But to do to a defenseless tiny person who can't
Yeah.
even report it, go
Yeah.
anywhere, do anything, that
Toughen them
is
up.
I can't sense that one
Yeah.
out. That one I'm like,
Yeah. Like, no, that does not make sense. That does not, no,
well,
that's not
they
go
need to
together.
know. What do they need to know? You
What do
think
they
it's
need to
okay
know
for
that
them
you
when
can't?
they're an employee and their
Yeah.
boss is hitting them? Why would that be okay
Yeah.
for them to learn?
Exactly.
Oh, well, they need to know when
Ugh,
they're older. Why do they need to know when they're older? So their husband does it to them, they think it's okay? In what
exactly. Like,
world they
in
grow
what
up, they
world,
need
in
to
what
think it's okay?
situation is that going to
What
be
future are you
the case?
picturing for them?
Exactly. Exactly.
Right, right.
Ugh,
What is going on there? I don't understand. I struggle with that one
yes.
so much because I'm like, come on, these are fragile, fragile human beings. Like, well, they're crying. You know what I think sometimes? It's
Yeah.
like when you're in high school, right, and things happen, that was so serious then. You think about it now, and
That
you're like,
was
ah,
like, whatever, get over
but
it. But that was your world.
then,
That was life or death.
right.
That was so
And
important.
that's it to
So
them,
true.
right? It's like they
Yeah.
were so excited maybe about okay, I'm gonna go down the slide one more time. I'm gonna pretend I'm gonna
Yeah.
rocket, and this time I'm gonna hop off, and then it gets taken away because, and you're like,
Yeah.
I was really, and it's like, well,
Yeah.
I didn't cut the banana the right way. Maybe they're excited to open and peel it themselves. For the first time,
Yeah.
they said, I'm gonna do it myself. I've seen my
Yes.
mom do it. I'm ready. And then it doesn't. It's like
Love that.
this chance got to. It's not the
Yeah.
thing, right? It's what was the intention? The
Yeah.
intention got taken away. The opportunity of something, and
So it's like it's hard as a
it's so
parent
important
sometimes.
to
It's
them.
so it's so important. And like, we talked about kind of like
Right.
postpartum fog and things like that. So it's like, what can we do as parents to recenter ourselves, like you said, and slow down? Because sometimes it is like
Yeah.
when they're asking you and they're throwing things at you and they're, whatever. It's so hard when you are at the top of your, you're overstimulated, you're overtouched. Like, what can
Yeah.
we do to take that time and be like, because there's so much guilt. Like if there's a day where I feel like I'm on my phone too much, or if there's a day
Sure.
where I didn't feel like getting on the ground and coloring, or like, you know what I mean? Like little things where
Right.
I'm like, why? Like you know what I mean? Like you said, like we only get them for such a short time. So what do we
Yeah.
do? There's so much guilt at the end of the day sometimes where I'm like, did
Yeah.
I do enough? Did I say the right thing? Was I off my phone? Did I reflect? You know what I mean? You know what I
You
mean?
know what's has worked for me at a
Yeah.
certain point is being really honest. And I hate
Yes.
it, but I'm trying to do it so I can model it for my daughter. So I've started saying,
Absolutely.
hey, I'm feeling really overwhelmed because there's so many sounds on.
I
So
love
let's
that.
turn off this sound and this
Yeah.
sound. And then I asked my daughter kindly for patience. I say, hey, this is my
Yeah.
first time trying this. Will you be patient with
Mm.
me? Because I really don't know the next step, which now has
I
transformed to her
love
kind of saying,
that.
hey, this is my first time. Will you be a little more patient with me? And I'm like,
Like, I don't know why I'm so emotional during this podcast. Like, it's just it's such beautiful
because we didn't
things.
have that.
Yeah.
We didn't have that. Like when my
Yeah.
daughter's her, I was always told to hurry, and so when my daughter does anything, I say, take your time. You
Yes.
take your time.
Oh my
Take your
gosh.
time. You want to buckle in your car? I say, let's go. I'm gonna bring berries. You go buckle in
Yeah.
your car 100 times. Let's do it. Let's
I
learn it
love
because
that.
she wants to learn, and I don't want to stop it, right? Because the
Exactly.
next thing leads to the next thing, next to the, and she's so proud of herself,
Yes.
right? That competence, right? When you feel like you
Yes.
can do something, and we need it
Yeah.
as humans. It's like I accomplishment
Yes.
feels great when you set a
And
goal
it's,
and you
oh,
want to do it and you get to get it done. You're like, I did this. I've been
I did
and we
it. What
say
else can
you've
I
been
do? I can do
practicing,
it.
you've been working
Yeah.
really hard, right?
Oh,
And
I
it's
love that.
today it's shoes,
Yes.
buckles, zippers,
Yeah.
but that encouragement is going to stay with them. So when they're bigger and they're going for a degree or
Yes.
uh Olympics or they want to
Like,
do
I'm gonna
fence,
take my
whatever,
time. I'm gonna do it,
I'm
and
going
I
to take
know
my
that good things
time.
take time, and I'm
Hey,
not in a rush.
right. And you know what it turned? Because I say to my daughter, I say not to myself. I'm saying,
Yeah.
I'm going to take my time on this. I'm really working
Yeah.
hard at this. This is really important. I say, hey, I really want to work on this. It's really important to me. I want to take my time.
I love
Now, not
that.
only does my daughter say it, I started saying it to myself. I'm giving myself
Yes.
grace of like,
Yeah.
oh, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed right now. Will you give me a moment?
Yeah.
The first
Yeah.
time I said it, I was like, I sound crazy. I sound like those written things
Yeah,
you
like
see are good to say, but you would
yeah.
never say out loud. Like, who
Yeah.
talks like this? And I
Yes.
started
Oh,
it when
wow.
I first started saying it, it's so hard to say out loud.
Oh, it's
It's so hard
weird.
to say it
Yeah,
out
it sounds
loud.
robotic. It sounds weird. And then you're like,
It's like, who
that's
talks
exactly
like
what
that?
I needed to slow myself down. And like, even just talking
Right.
about it now, like, you think of all the things that you have to do and knowing, okay, those things will get done. I'm not in a rush. I'm taking my
Yeah.
time. And it's so funny. Like, I just had like a light bulb kind of turn on because that's kind of how I was raised too. Like, always, okay, like, hurry up. What are you doing? Like, productivity. What are you doing? Go, 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 go,
Yep.
go. Why are you taking so long? And
Right.
it's so funny because there's times like even in the grocery store where if I'm looking at like makeup or something and I'm like I'm almost done, like don't worry, like I'm almost done,
Right.
and my
Right. Right.
husband will be like, it's no rush, like we have nowhere to
Right.
be, and I'm just like, so that was kind of a light bulb for me, like what you just said. And like there's even times now where my mom's like, oh my god, we're hurrying, or like, blah 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 blah, and I look at her and I'm like, there's no rush, like it's okay. So like
Right.
it's
Right.
just, it is
That
filtering.
that hurrying. Oh
What is
man.
that, like,
I
wait,
it's
why?
from our parents. It's passed on. They had to be somewhere, so we had to be somewhere,
Yeah.
right? I do that even stopped doing it, but I did it.
Yeah.
I didn't feel important enough to take the time
Mm.
to brush my teeth through postpartum. So it's like brushing, brushing. I have to go.
Yeah.
And then I saw my daughter doing it, and I
Yeah.
hated myself for it because my daughter's
Mm.
brushing her teeth so fast. And I was like, "You are important.
Yeah, your teeth
You
are
take your
important. Take your
time.
time. Yeah.
You do it slow." And I was so mad at myself. I was like, "What example am I setting that her teeth?"
Yeah.
And so now I'm like, anything, we
Yeah.
just say, take your time. And
Take
that's
your
my
time.
first click is like, if
I
I'm
love
trying to
that.
hurry, I'm like, take your time. And then if I got to get something done, I hope this is helpful because at first I was like, I can't get the
Oh,
laundry or this and
I
this.
love
Now
that.
I'm so honest with her and say, hey, I
Yeah.
got to fold this laundry. You're welcome to help me separate the socks with the shorts.
Yeah.
Maybe we can play delivery. Okay. I'm going to give you your
Yeah.
shirts. You go run into your closet. Okay. Like we usually do a play
Yeah.
with it. But now, hey, or do you want to read this book or color next to me
Yeah.
while I do it? I do got to get this done. I'm going to do
Yeah.
it as fast as I can, but I wanted to, or like, I'm going to
Yeah.
take my time.
Yeah.
But now she's like, oh,
I
you are
love that.
working on this. This is
Like, I can be
important.
independent and do my own thing right next to you, and it can be,
Right. And it's teaching
yeah.
her that, like, even with the dishes, it took a while. She's like, well, are you done? Are you done yet? And I'm like, it does take time. But what
Yeah.
happens if we don't have clean dishes, right? We're going to have dirty
Yeah.
dishes. I don't want to eat off dirty dishes. Let's do
Yeah.
them together. And now she's like, Mommy,
Yeah.
can I help you with the bowls? Right? It's like they want to take care of the house. I always think like,
Yeah.
how have you ever watched like Gordon Ramsay
Yes.
cook anything? Oh my gosh, right? It's like you are an
He's a mess.
expert.
Yes.
well, also that, but he's really good at his skill. And so when he
Yes.
takes apart a crab and cooks it and talks about it, you're like, now I know how to do that, obviously. Like,
Yes.
I'm so, and you probably can't because you haven't practiced as much as he has,
Yeah.
but
He
he
makes it
makes it
look
look
so
so
easy.
effortless. And that's what
Effortless.
kids see.
Yeah.
Kids see you be the Gordon Ramsay of your house. They're like,
Ah,
how'd you take this uncooked thing and now it's cooked?
yeah.
How was the laundry
Why did,
dirty and now it's clean?
yeah.
How do you always know what time to leave? How do you
Yeah.
know when to stop pouring? When I pour, it spills. How do you do that,
Yeah.
mom? How do you do that, dad?
Yeah.
You like parents are just such magical
Yeah.
experts in front of their
Yes.
kids. That's why your kids want to do it too. They're like, you made it look so seamless and effortless that it
Yeah.
made me believe I could also do it. But when they try, they get frustrated. It's not the
Yeah.
same. But our kids just aspire to be like us, right?
Yeah.
They're like, how'd you do that? That is
I
so
love that. That is
cool.
the best
That is so
example.
cool.
That is
Right.
such a
They just
good,
admire us, right? They just
yeah.
want to be like, how'd you do that? And then if you give them
Yeah.
their own way of doing it, it's like, hey, here's a
Yeah.
banana, here's a butter knife. Why don't you cut next to
There
me?
you go. Yeah.
Ooh, ooh, they're gonna like that. They're gonna
Yeah.
love that. And
Yeah.
I early found out like
Love
toddlers
that.
love to teach, right? They love to teach you a
Yes.
little something. And so
Yes.
anytime I'll explain something to my daughter and then I'll give her like a toy who'll ask the question or anything, and she'll
Oh,
teach it
that's a
now
good
to the
idea.
toy. So she's
I
learned
love
it.
that.
She got to be in
Yes.
charge. She gets to
Yeah.
explain it to somebody. And she,
Yeah.
once we
And
teach
be
something to somebody,
proud
you
with
know
how
it a
much
little.
she took
Right,
in of the
right,
lesson that you
right.
explained. I love
And they
that.
want to be like us, right? So it's like, oh, my mommy
Yes.
told me this.
You're
Now
like,
I get
I'm,
to tell.
yes,
There's so much
exactly.
pride in that. They just,
There's
I
one thing that you did in a video, and this is what I do with my kids now because I loved it. But you were like, you were playing, and it was like little, trinkets or whatever. And it was like, I love playing with you. And it was like, I'm happy when I play with you. I am excited when I play with you. And then it was like, you said something and I can't remember, but it was like, it was the doll, talking, but I do that to my kids now. And I'm like, I'm so excited that I get to wake you up. I'm so excited that I get to play with you. Or like, I am my happiest when I get to play with
yeah.
you. So there's so much stuff in your video that you are teaching us. And I applaud you
Oh,
for that. Really, really
thank
and
you.
truly, seriously.
Oh, it comes from a lot of really brokenness that
Same,
I'm trying to, right? It's like
same girl, same.
I have the scar. I'm gonna give you the band-aid so you
Exactly.
don't step on those cracks. But I think
Exactly.
it's important to tell our kids that we love spending time with them.
Yes.
We say it all day long
I
on this.
love
Hey, I
that.
love your ideas. That's a great, you have good
Yeah.
idea. You have good ideas. We started saying it to my daughter. My husband started saying
Yeah.
it to me. I started believing in myself. I'm like, I have good
Oh,
ideas. It took
you're
me
like, that
so
was
long to
so
say
good.
it. Oh my
Yes.
gosh, first time I said it to me, I bawled my eyes out
Yeah.
because the inside of my voice, my inside of
Yeah.
my head says very mean things to me. And so when I
It's
start
like, don't share your
working
idea.
on it,
It's not good enough. Like, don't even mention your idea. Just listen and
right,
be quiet and do what you're
right.
told.
Oh,
And that's,
right, right. But I don't, my daughter has great ideas, right? It's like, I love that you chose to paint that triangle green. Why not?
yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. You want to put that
Yeah.
hat on this different thing? Let's try it. We won't know until
Yeah.
we try, right? Let's try it
Exactly.
together. It's
Mm.
our kids take so much from it. They learn that they want to spend time,
Yeah.
that we like spending time with them. And it was one of
Yeah.
those things that I keep a list of like positive affirmations that when you first read it out loud, you're like, how would I say that? And I've
Yeah.
never heard somebody speak this way.
What, that
So
is so
it
true.
seems unnatural to say it, but
Weird.
I'm forcing myself to
Yes.
say it right. But then you
Yeah.
see it and it works and it's impactful. I saw something somewhere
Yeah.
that's like, do you have a dog?
I don't. My
Did you ever
mom
have?
does.
You don't? You don't? You know how when you enter a room and a dog is so excited to see you, they
Yes.
wag their tail, their eyes light up, they're
Yes.
ready. Um,
Ah.
that's how I want to be every time
Yeah.
I see my kid.
Yeah.
You're here. Oh my gosh, I'm excited. What is it?
Yeah.
What is your idea? Oh my gosh, tell me
Yes.
about it. What? What?
Woo!
What is it? What is
Yes.
it? What? This person did
Yeah.
this. That is the silliest, right? Like their
Yeah.
life is so important. All of these little things they're doing are
Yeah.
so important.
It
The
is.
little
It's so
steps
true.
they're doing uh, are so important, right? And
And
then
they do directly
they're
correlate
gone
to
so fast.
things that they will do and say in adulthood. There's so many, like you said, like it's weird to say that, or it's weird, but you're like, this literal activity leads to something different in a different scenario and a different thing, but
Right.
they know how to handle it. So like I think as
Right.
parents, it's so easy to be like, oh, that's it's just whatever. But like celebrating those things and celebrating
Yes.
themselves and then growing their
Celebrate it.
internal voice. I mean,
Right. Right. Because
oh
it's so wonderful to witness it in the way. It's weird for me to say, right? It's a little
yeah,
like odd to be like, hey, uh, these are some things we say. I really love spending time with you. We say
yeah,
that over and over again. Or,
yeah,
hey, I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. I just need a
yeah,
couple of minutes, or I need a little space. I'm gonna take a couple of deep breaths because
yeah,
I'm feeling a little, and it's weird to say. I know it is.
yes,
But it's not weird is now when I hear my daughter say it, and it's so natural to her
yeah.
to just be so present and to let me know, hey, I'm not
Because
ready
she
to move on
knows
with this
what
activity.
that
I'm
sounds
still
like.
enjoying this at this time. I'm like,
Yeah. Like that's incredible.
yes,
And it just shows
having
me
to
like
know.
I have so much to work on with myself too. And my husband always tells me this all the time. There's times where I wait until I'm a 10 to be like, okay, no. I need a break. I'm gonna go read for 30
Right,
minutes.
right.
And so like recognizing that, like just this in conversation in general, I can't wait to put this stuff in play because there's still so much I'm learning about myself that there's so many
Yeah.
things that I'm like, I don't even know when I'm to that point yet of needing deep breaths. And so I'm
But
like, I'm
right.
learning.
But I, because I didn't want my kids to see it, but then it's like, wait, when
Yeah,
I'm that aggravated, they see a change they wouldn't want to see. That's not fair to them. So
yeah,
being honest and being upfront of like,
yeah,
you're teaching them how to handle it so they can do it. They get, because if they
exactly.
don't see it from you, how will they ever learn not to
Yeah.
get to that, right? So doing it with your
Or if
kids,
you do get to that point, how to actively
right? Hey, I got a
deregulate,
little
settle down.
frustrated.
Exactly.
I got frustrated. I just need a
Yeah,
moment, or maybe I need to just like let me shake it out.
yeah,
Let me like something's in. Let me.
yeah.
It's so it's tough, but it's important, right? Because
And
it's
I think it's so
our
important to
kids' lives are
apologize to our
all the
kids too,
time,
because I
all the
think
time.
and again, it was like, this is how we do it. This is why we do it. And I don't have to say sorry because I'm the adult and whatever. And there's, still so many things that
We're
I've
right,
gone through
but
that
we're
I've
all
never
learning.
had like a sorry for, like, because
Yeah,
he was you're the adult. I'm a kid. I'm
sure.
less than. I don't get the sorry. And so that's something that I want to be with my kids is I'm so sorry I raised my voice at you.
Yeah,
Because you know what I
yeah,
mean? Sometimes we don't always self-regulate. We do go to the,
sure.
like, get off. And so like
But
learning to be like, I'm so sorry.
you deserve to say that sorry so you let go of that guilt because you don't
Exactly.
deserve to hold on to that or carry that in your
Exactly.
backpack. They don't
Yes.
deserve to carry that in their backpack,
Yeah.
right? So when you say sorry, you're letting yourself free. So you're not
Absolutely.
feeling guilty for it. And they
Yes.
get to learn this is the way I
Yeah.
handle conflict without
Hmm.
doing it in a funky wonky
Yeah.
way. And um,
Exactly.
another thing that was kind of tough for me to do, but I think is important is I always word when it's something my first time. I say, you know what, this is
Yeah.
my first time.
I
I've actually
love
never
that.
done this before.
Yeah.
So it might take me a little bit longer. I might be surprised along the way. I don't know what to expect is something I
Yeah.
often say. I'll
I
say, this is my
love
first time
that.
doing this.
Yes.
I'm honest. I say, you know what? It's my first time being a mom.
Yeah.
I was like, I've never been, I tell my daughter, I was like, I was never a mom before this. So I'm also
Yeah.
learning some things and I might do
I
some things wrong
love that.
because I'm learning things along the way.
Yeah.
And then even now with my second, she's like, but you, and I said, This is my first time being a being a mom to two. I've
Oh,
never done
yeah.
this before. Today I'm a new
Absolutely.
person. You are a new person today, and so
Yeah.
am I. And
Exactly.
let's,
I love that. And just having each day to practice this and put this in effect and be the best we can for our kids.
yeah. And
Oh,
they love it, right? See, it's like, oh, I wish my parents would speak to me that way. I would have understood
yeah.
so much more if you didn't
Understood.
shut
Yes.
me down, but you
Yeah.
just explained things to me. And kids
Exactly.
want to understand.
Yes.
They
They
ask
want to know
why,
why.
because they,
And
right,
I think
they're
we
so
totally
interested.
gaslight how smart kids are and how much they truly understand. And when you actually do take the time to explain it,
They get
they
it.
are they're right on board with you. Like they know what you're
They
talking
get it.
about. And so it's like,
They get it.
why do we, belittle them and think, oh, she's just a kid. She's not going to understand that we're going to be late for this
Explain
because of this. Like,
everything. Explain
yes,
everything.
yes,
Everything.
that's
Explain
so important to
everything.
me.
It takes time now, and you're gonna repeat yourself. And you know
Yes.
why I think we repeat ourselves is I think kids are waiting to catch you at a different to say something else. It's like
Yeah.
But if you repeat yourself, because if you're honest, you're going to repeat yourself saying the exact
The
same
same
thing.
thing.
They're going to be
Yep.
like, oh, this is it. This is why every time, right? And then they'll know. Next
Exactly.
time you say it, they're like, oh, because this and this, like they'll know the
Yeah.
explanation. But when there isn't a reason for something, it's hard for us to put it in a compartment in a head and say,
Yeah.
oh, this is what this. I saw this really great business manager talk about how she does things with her employees and she's taking
Yeah.
decision making out of her fatigue thing, right? She's letting her employees do it, but the way
Yeah.
she does this is she said, when you're stuck at a problem, come to me. And so they come to her and they say, how would you go about solving this? So she teaches them how she got to the solution that she would have, so then they
Yeah.
know next time. And that's
Yeah.
how we should be with our kids. It's like, let me help you how I think I would have gone to it.
Yeah.
And if that sounds reasonable, great. If you come up with your own way of doing it, even better. Because, like,
Absolutely.
I always remember my parents were
Yeah.
doing stuff, and I was like, why don't you try it this way? It would have been better. And maybe it would have, right?
Yeah.
And maybe our kids know things a little bit differently. Maybe we haven't taken,
Yes.
right? It's like, let's give them that grace that they might have something
Naturally, as
figured
adults,
out.
sometimes we do make things harder. You know what I mean?
Because we're used to it. We're so
Yes.
used to our habits. I was
Yes.
listening to Rachel, the neuroscientist. Have you seen her videos?
Mm-mm.
She's a great neuroscientist. She's wonderful, but she talks about her habits. And it's like if you're
Yeah.
skiing down a mountain, you take the same path and you've had the snow imprinted. It's easier to
Yeah.
go down that path. If you were to
Yeah.
go down a different trail, fresh snow, you might get lost. You don't know which way you'll end. Is
Yeah.
there more trees? It's just feels more dangerous because it's the unknown. So to make a new habit just
Yes.
feels uneasy because this road, I've traveled this road. I've traveled this road a lot. I've got
Exactly.
ski marks into it. This is fresh
Yeah.
snow. This is a
Yeah.
little, but maybe it's a better way.
Hmm.
Maybe it's, and we got to show that to our kids, right? We got to say, it's like,
Absolutely.
let's try it. We won't know until we try. If we try it, we don't like
Exactly.
it, that's okay. But what if we try it and we really like it?
Yeah.
What if this is a better way? What if this is a better route?
Yep.
Um,
We won't
we
know.
gotta just,
Yeah.
right, right.
Absolutely. And then also kind of
Ugh.
debriefing on if it didn't go great, regardless of the situation, kind of debriefing, be like, okay, well, next time we know we did this and it didn't work out,
Next time,
and that's
right? Love
okay.
that. I try to start my
Love that.
sentences when things don't go positively. It's like, I'm glad I tried it this way. I didn't love it. I didn't love the
Yeah.
outcome. Maybe next time we'll try this, right? And
Yeah.
it shows your kid that problem solving. Oh, just thought of
Yes.
something else. I'm running out of time, but gosh, we're going long. I
Sorry.
watched
This
no,
is
I love
so
chitty chat.
enjoyable. I have had the best
I love
time.
chit chats. I'm so happy. I was listening to Harmozy. He runs this giant millionaire dollar companies. He sells a
Yeah.
lot of companies. He's got a lot of money, but he's really busy on his time. But something he was
Yeah.
talking about is time management. And there's two different ways to split your time. There's managers who can kind of do 15-minute calls, right? Sales or
Yeah.
something. You're in 15-minute blocks. In a day, you probably have 10 meetings. And then there's
Yeah.
makers, right? So it's like project oriented, right? It's like,
Yeah.
does it take you 5 hours or 10 hours to finish editing a video? It just depends on the project.
Yes.
But what happens is interruptions, right? So it's like
Yeah.
if a sales manager, right, loses a meeting, they still have eight, like let's say they have 10 meetings in a day, one gets lost, they still have nine
Yeah.
products of outputs essentially,
Yeah.
right? But if you're a maker and project oriented and your thing takes 5 hours, if somebody interrupts it, it throws off your thing, right? You're not in the
Yes.
groove, you got to get out of it. It's just a little off. It
Yep.
ruins an entire full day,
Yes.
right? It's like the manager's day isn't ruined, but the maker's would be. And he
Yeah.
talks about how you schedule things. So if you have a day of calls, you schedule them on a day, but
Yeah.
projects, you put them on the other day. Then I started thinking, oh my gosh, that's like motherhood, right? Because we have
Yes.
certain projects that takes 2 to 3 hours, right? They're
Yes.
project oriented, they're time
Yep.
specific. And a
Yep.
kid, they don't mean to interrupt, but they're like, what's this? And it
Yeah.
feels like it breaks the pattern because we
Yeah.
just, oh, I just need 30 minutes so I can just
Yes.
get this
I
done.
just need to finish this. Yes.
Right. And so it's orienting,
Yeah.
realizing that, like, okay, how do I split up and Tetris my time so my chunks when I need the long time, I have that. And when I have
Yes.
my short times, can I stack
Wow.
those? So it's like when I need to make the phone calls, the schedules, the things,
Yes.
the stuff, can I put that? Maybe I do that Wednesdays, Fridays.
Yeah.
Maybe I do my chunks, my big parts, Monday, Wednesday, Thursday. And it's rewriting your own
Yes.
schedule to fit and match what you're seeking for your own productivity, right? So it's like if it's
Absolutely.
laundry and you know it's 3 hours, how do
Yes.
you and so I love listening to managers and how they do implement
Yes.
certain tricks because, like, we're our own managers in our home. What can we do better
Yes.
to improve our workflow, to help ourselves breathe so we can have a happy motherhood? They can have a happy childhood, right? We get the,
Yes.
it's like we only get one chance at childhood.
Yeah.
We get one chance at motherhood. Let's do this right. Let's spend time with our kids. Let's enjoy it.
Yes.
It is okay to leave
And our
your dishes.
motherhood lives on in them way after we're gone. So it is so
Totally,
important.
totally, totally. But like, I think we get stressed about the dishes and the laundry because our mothers got stressed over the dishes and the
Yes.
laundry and we got in trouble for it, right? It's like,
Yeah.
but that's okay. It's okay if the dishes don't get done today. Like,
It will get done eventually. It does
it
not
won't
need
get
to be
done.
done
It
right
will. It
now.
really will. It really will.
And it's so hard because
There's,
I'm unlearning that program in me
it's
that
so
I can't relax. I
hard.
can't sit with my kids in color. I can't do
Right,
that because it's like almost like a nagging anxiety of
right.
like, I
But
have to
that's
do
not
this. I
you.
have to
Let
do
that
this.
go. Let that go. Ready?
Exactly.
Scrumble it up. Scrumble it up. Scrumble it up, Brittany. Brittany, scrumble it up. Set it
Exactly.
on fire. That's not you.
Yes.
It's not for
Exactly.
you. Do you want that? Do you want that?
No, because the thing is, it doesn't change anything anyway, because in motherhood, there's always a task, whether it's dishes, whether it's laundry, whether it's, there's always something. So if I don't learn to let that go and be present with my kids, if I get laundry and dishes done, I don't, it's like, you can't just breathe because there's 50 other things that you're like, okay, I did get that done. Well, what
Yeah,
about this? You know what I mean?
yeah.
And knowing my motherhood is not just about the productivity, about things like that, letting that go and being present, you know?
Your kids, they love you for just being with you and chitty chatting with
Yeah.
you, right? They don't they love and appreciate that you do the laundry
Yes.
and the
And that's what
dishes
they'll
so then as the
remember.
house go. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
We gotta make time for kids. We gotta choose our kids. But
Absolutely.
again, it goes by so quickly, right?
It
Every
goes
day
by
I look
so
at my kids, I'm like,
fast.
oh my gosh, you're so much bigger. Like,
Yeah.
what can
They
we do
wake up and
today
I'm
to this?
like, this is not the kid I put down to nap. And it's
They like
devastating.
re-downloaded new info. They're like, ugh.
Yes.
Brittany, my sweet girl, I'm having so much fun chitty chatting with you, but we're at an hour and a half. We've had some great, great comments. People are saying favorite singers. There's a song they said, "My parents aren't heroes; they're just like me." It's hard to realize that we're just living our first life. Our
Yeah.
parents just lived their first life, and our kids are going to live their first. Like,
Yeah.
every day is so new to us.
Yeah.
Somewhere we expect ourselves to know it all, but it's like nobody told you. You're figuring this out. It's
Yeah.
your first day being your mom this way today. It's your kids' first day, whatever today brings,
Yes.
right? Like I try to do my chores right away. I'm like, uh, let's try to get dishes done so then we can play.
Yeah.
Let's get the laundry done so we can play. Because these
Yes.
chores are just like just to keep us going, but they
Yes.
shouldn't have shackles on us, right? It's like I want to be having fun.
Exactly. I want to be not stressed about things that do not
Right.
matter.
Because they really don't. Like, I know when I'm on my deathbed, I'm not going to be like,
No.
I'm glad I did all those dishes and
Exactly. Thank goodness
right.
we had
It's
a clean
like,
house that,
right. It's okay for things to get messy or create
yeah.
possibilities where it's like,
Yeah.
make it how it's going to be easy for you, don't create restrictions just because you're used to them.
Yeah.
We most of them eat at a coffee table because it's just easier for all of us to be together. My kids can get up
Yes.
and go do their thing. We eat, it's easy to
Yes.
clean up, it keeps moving, keeps
Absolutely.
grooving. And we should enjoy our motherhood and our kids should enjoy
Yeah.
their childhood, right?
Yes. We shouldn't
This
have
is
to
our
wait to be
time.
grandparents to be like, wow, now
Right,
I get to
right.
be in the present and
That's
enjoy
right.
it. Like that is something that we can absolutely change and make sure that we're doing
Right.
today.
live your parenthood as a grandma. Like today,
Yeah.
decide you are now the grandma and be like,
That needs to be on a t-shirt.
yeah, I'm just in my grandma mode, like at
I
this point,
love
right? It's
it.
like,
Yeah.
it just, I don't want to be stressing about the dishes. It's not
Yeah.
important. And they are going to get cleaned and they are going to get put away. And
Yes.
the thing with it's like when it gets piled up, but when it gets piled up, let's chit chat about it. Hey guys,
Yes.
the laundry's piled up. We got to do it. Let's put it all on the couch. And you know what? Let them watch TV, chit chat about it.
Yes.
Hey, what's going
Do it
on? I can't believe this
together. We're in the
happened.
same room. It's all
Oh, we
right, you
love
know?
watching TV together, right? It's like, oh,
Yes.
okay, what's going on? It's like the drama, right? It's so real for
Yes.
them. So it's like, ooh, who did, And so
Exactly. I would
play
love,
with
I
your
know we're like,
kids.
I could talk to you for like 5 years in a row, but I eventually, like, I really do want to learn more about how you do it as far as like like just motherhood in general, but also creating content because like
Ooh, girl.
editing on Canva, doing all these things. And the thing is like, especially when we were raised where our productivity was our worth, you're not going to put your name on something unless it is done to the extent and to your liking. Like I'm very type A, I'm a perfectionist. I was like, okay, if I'm going to do the book, I have to do it this way. I have to do this. I have to market like this. I have to, whatever. And so this is all new to me.
Change your have tos to get tos.
Yeah.
And
So
that'll be
true.
your
I
first
love
thing,
that.
right? So you
Yes.
get to do this, right? The little you says,
Yeah.
wait, it's got to be so hard to be right. You right now says it's so hard to be a book
Yeah.
author and illustrator and creator. The little you says, we made a book,
We did that.
right? Do
Yes.
this for little you,
Yeah.
right? You get to do this. It's hard.
Yes.
A lot of things are hard. Things are hard for your kids right now,
Absolutely.
right? But you get to do this, right?
I
We
get
get to
to.
spend time with our kids.
Yes.
We have a
Absolutely.
home, right? For a while, I
Yes.
didn't have clothes. I didn't have dishes. So right
Yeah.
now, when I do my laundry, I'm like, I get
I
to have
get
clothes.
to.
I
I
didn't
have
have a lot of
clothes
clothes.
to
I
do
didn't have
laundry.
clothes. I get clothes, right? And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, our home is dirty. Thank goodness for my home, right?
Yes.
My kids are safe. I don't need to worry about where they're going to be tonight.
Yeah.
There are some areas who are under a lot of trouble right now, and a lot
Yes.
of families don't have a home, right? So it's like,
Yes.
I get to clean. I get
Exactly. I
to clean
love that.
together.
Changing
I
that
get
perspective,
to clean
changing that
together.
voice of gratitude.
Ooh, yeah.
Oh,
And it's like it's the first thing to get you out of that mood. It's like, wait a minute. What would be the
yes.
opposite? Oh, if I didn't have a home to clean, how would that work out?
What would
I'm very
exactly?
happy I have a home. I'm very glad I have a home.
Yes.
I'm very glad I'm doing dishes
Yeah.
tonight. You know why? Because I had a good dinner and so did my family. My kids are
Exactly.
going to sleep with full bellies. I spent so many nights hungry. I didn't have
Yeah.
food. So for me to do dishes right now, it's tough.
It's a
It's like I'm
gift.
so annoyed. I got to do it again tomorrow and
Yeah.
again tomorrow. And you know why? Because I get to eat tomorrow
Yes.
and I
I
get to
love
eat
that.
the next day. We get to do these things, right? We
Yes.
get to do them because you deserve clean dishes. You deserve
Yes.
a clean
Yeah.
home. Do this for you, do this for little you, right?
Yeah.
This is our life too. We're living. You
Exactly.
didn't stop living, you didn't stop learning. So
Absolutely.
we got to just change our attitudes. Like we got to stop listening to this, turn off that
So true.
recording that we're so used to hearing, and we got to just like
Yes.
reprogram and say, "Oh, we get to do this with our kids." But let's clean it together.
Yes.
Everybody grab a wipe. Let's play a
Yes.
game. Everybody wipe the floorboards. Who does it faster, right? Like grab a mop, make a mess. That's
Yes.
how
I
we'll clean
get
this
to do
floor
that.
anyways. You get
I
to
love
it's
that.
I had it as a reminder for a few months. Very different perspective. I get to do this, right? I don't have
Yes.
to do this. I really get to. And isn't that just a you get to wake up and see your kids?
Yeah.
You get to spend meals with them.
Yes.
Sometimes they're tough, but you know what's the alternative? Not spending mealtime with your kids.
Yeah.
And that is going to be so hard when we're older. Oh,
Yes.
that's going to sting when
Yeah.
nobody's yelling in the kitchen, when nobody's yelling at your dining room
We
table,
are
when
gonna
nobody's
miss
asking,
that.
Mom, get this, Mom, get that. Oh, I love it when my kids say,
Yeah.
Mommy, can you get this for me? Yes. Mommy, can you carry me? Until my arms fall off. Until yes, I will carry you. Absolutely, yes. Anytime.
Yeah.
Ask me anytime. I get to do this. Some moms don't get to
I
hold their
love
kids
that.
tonight, and whoo, I will give all of my time to all of me. You know what I mean? We
I love
get to
it.
do this, and oh, I'll fight for that. I'll fight for that for myself, for me, little me,
Absolutely.
big me, my little kids. We deserve this, right? Like you get to do this. You
Absolutely.
deserve to have a clean home. You wrote a
Yes.
book. You worked hard at that.
Yeah.
That's accomplishment. That's
Ooh,
achievement. You
Lily.
should be very proud of your, it's
I
important, right?
am. And it's hard because when you grow up in a, I am trying to be my own voice and be like, I'm so proud. I did this. I did this. I did this. This was me, you know, because there's a lot of people in my life that haven't said that, where they
Right.
do, and it's like, oh, like it's just, it's a hobby. And I'm like, no, this is something I've created and people are buying it and it's making an impact in people's life and it's so much more
Yeah.
than what you think it is, because some people are like, oh,
And it
like
doesn't
that's
matter
cool.
what they think. It doesn't matter. Right. I
Yeah.
made the cotton toy. My parents didn't say congratulations even. So it was tough. Um,
What? Like, oh, it
I know.
hurts. Because I have
Yeah.
my dad, who my mom tells me that everybody says is like, he'll tell everybody that he's, so proud of me and blah, 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 whatever. And then not a word to me or something where it's almost like, you know what I mean? But
Right.
it's so hard to be like, don't downgrade what you're doing because it's
Hmm.
so easy to do that. And so to say, I am proud, I did this, this was hard, this was something that was completely out of my comfort zone, and watching it come to fruition is just, it's incredible. And I'm so proud of myself and who I am. And so
You
working on
should
that, so my
be.
kids have that same, you know,
And talk to them out loud about it, right? When they do these things,
absolutely.
you got to say, oh, you must be working hard at this. This was probably out of your comfort
Yes.
zone and you worked on it
Yes.
and
I
you
feel
did it.
so extra with my kids, and especially like when I'm around
Good.
my parents, I'm like, I love you. You're doing such a good job. Almost like a this is how you do it type thing, which is hurtful
Yeah.
and it's not productive and that's not, but it's just something
It's
where it's
okay.
like, yeah, you know what I mean? So I'm just
It's
so extra with
okay.
my kids because I need them to know, and just I need
Right.
it to be
Because
so
you didn't
instilled.
know. You didn't
Exactly.
know that. Nobody told you that. And that's not okay. You
Yeah.
deserved more attention and love. And
Yes.
I'm sorry that it didn't fully go that way, but how amazing it that your kids get that, right?
Yeah.
And you wrote that
Absolutely.
book. You worked hard on that. That's
Yeah.
important. What you're
Yeah.
doing is important. We didn't get to chat about your nurse experience, which is also important, right? My sweet girl, I gotta go because I gotta
I
get to
get
my little
it.
baby, my kids. I absolutely love chit chatting with you. Really quick,
Yes.
throw out your book where people can find you, um, and then I'll let you go. But just so people can
Yeah.
find all of your things.
Yeah. So you can follow my Instagram. It's at thrift, like thrift shop pub co, thrift pub co. So follow me on Instagram. I'm also on TikTok. And I have direct links to buy the book. And there's also, you can also go to www.thriftpublicationcompany.com. And then all my direct links are there too. So
Yay, good job. Look at you. You did that, right? You did that. You
yep.
wrote a book.
Yes,
You
yes,
made it.
yes.
You have a website. This is important.
Absolutely.
You are
Absolutely.
important, and so is your time. Don't
You're
hurry
so sweet.
yourself. You don't need to
Absolutely.
hurry yourself. You take your time. You do your mascara. You do your shower. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Gosh, I used to be quick in my shower. I was like, I don't deserve this shower. I
Yes.
just need to be fast. You deserve a
Yes.
shower. You deserve a good
Yes.
meal.
Dad's
You
got
deserve
it.
to sit
Kids are
down.
safe. You
Right.
you 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 can
Everybody
take
will
10
figure it
minutes to
out.
yourself.
Take 12.
Exactly.
You know what I do? I'm going to go take a quick shower. I'm going to take 5 minutes. And my husband says, take 10, take 30,
That's
make it a long one. And it's
yes. Like
hard
there's
to
no
hear that when you
rush.
finally get love. Right.
Exactly.
And you know what? Kids don't know time.
They don't
An
know.
hour is a minute and a minute is two. You know what I
Yes.
mean?
So you can
If they're
take your
having a good
time. You don't
time,
need to
they
hurry
won't
up
know.
to be right there. You
No.
know.
And you know what will happen? They'll just miss you more. They'll just appreciate you more
Exactly.
when you come back.
Yeah.
They're going to say, Mommy, Mommy,
Oh,
right? Isn't that the best word in the
it is
world? Just
the
Mommy.
best. It
Ah,
really is.
you get that.
Yeah.
You get to be called a mommy. Isn't
Yeah.
that beautiful to
It is
hear? Oh,
beautiful, and
you get
it's
to
it's a huge
hold your
responsibility,
baby.
but I wouldn't change it for the world. Wouldn't change it.
Right? You don't have to be a mom. You get to
Yeah.
be a mom. Ooh.
Exactly. I love
Ooh, the
that.
power in that.
Woo!
All right, Brittany. I
I
hope
thank you
you have
so
an
much. Thank you so much for
absolutely
having me. You're
amazing,
the best.
of course. Have such a good weekend.
You too. Bye,
Um,
Lily.
bye Brittany, and thank you again.
Oh,
Thank you everybody for being on. We went a little bit longer, but I hope everyone has a very good weekend, and then I'll see you guys next time. So have a good have a good rest of the weekend. Have fun, and just remember, you don't have to do anything, but the things you do get to do, you gotta enjoy them, right? It's not just our children. It's not their just get to have their childhood. Like this is your motherhood, and your time is important, and you matter. All right. Happy weekend, everyone.